Squat, bench, and deadlift. Three legendary exercises. But how important are they for bodybuilders, and can we get away with not doing them? Well, here's the thing. As bodybuilders, we train to develop our muscles. Unlike powerlifters, we don't train to be able to perform certain lifts. When we are choosing exercises to include in our training, we must pick them on the basis of what hypertrophic benefit they can give us. I always tell people not to look at individual exercises, but rather to look at movement patterns. So are the squat, bench, and deadlift necessary in bodybuilding? No, they're not, but the movement patterns are necessary. So instead of thinking of squat, bench, and deadlift, think of knee flexion, horizontal pushing, and hip hinge exercises. The big three are certainly good options for their respective movement patterns, but they are definitely not the only options. For knee flexions, you could just as well choose to do a hack squat, leg press, lunges, or Bulgarian split squats. For horizontal pushing, you have dumbbell press, incline press, decline press, machine press, weighted push-ups, or dips. For hip hinges, you have Romanian deadlifts, trap bar deadlifts, good mornings, or stiff leg deadlifts. All of these variations fundamentally train the same muscle groups as the big three. But it's entirely possible that for whatever reason, one of those variations will work better for you than just the standard squat, bench, and deadlift. Maybe you feel a better stimulus in your muscles, or perhaps you just enjoy doing one of the variations more. As a bodybuilder, there's nothing holding you to the standard competition lifts. Another thing to keep in mind is that while doing the big three will certainly train many of your muscles at once, they also definitely neglect others. Usually what happens when someone puts too much focus on the big three lifts is that they will develop a torso-dominant physique, where their chest and back is way more developed compared to their arms. This is something you usually want to avoid as a bodybuilder if you're looking to build a well-balanced physique. Any isolation lifts you use to train your biceps, triceps, forearms, calves, etc. need to be taken just as seriously as the big three. So many people get stuck in a powerlifting or even power building mindset where they see the squat, bench, and deadlift as being way more important than anything else. So they always open their workout with the big heavy compound movements, give it their all, tire themselves out, and then just half-ass or skip the rest of the workout. The compound lifts are very important, but for a bodybuilder, isolation lifts are also just as important and shouldn't be seen as secondary or as mere accessories to the big three. Another issue with the powerlifting mentality creeping into bodybuilding is when you find yourself performing the big three in a way that prioritizes chasing strength PRs, rather than looking at how you can best stimulate your muscles. So this can be things like cutting your range of motion, using a bigger arch or wider grip, using equipment like wraps, and doing very low rep sets like 1 to 3 reps. These technique and leverage optimizations might do wonders for stroking your ego, but will probably not do very much for you in terms of building muscle. Remember, as bodybuilders, we must perform these lifts for their muscle building benefits. The goal is not to get stronger at the big three. The goal is to use the big three to effectively stimulate your muscles. The resulting hypertrophy and increased muscle mass will result in increased strength, but you cannot make strength the main focus. Oftentimes, this will involve actively trying to get more out of less weight. Since you want to prioritize a technique which will maximally stimulate your target muscles and allow you to take them as close as possible to failure, you will also probably find better results using moderate reps for these movements so you can actually accumulate a decent amount of volume. Instead of doing singles, doubles, or triples like a powerlifter would, you probably want to be doing something like sets of 6 to 10, 8 to 12, or perhaps even 10 to 15. As for my personal experience with the big three, when I first started training seriously, I was basically a wannabe powerlifter. I would do squat, bench, and deadlift each 2 times per week, constantly maxing out and trying to figure out ways to increase my PRs, without giving any importance to other exercises. I did this for a couple months until I realized how stupid and unsustainable my training was. As of right now, I still squat and bench, but only once per week, and I've completely changed my technique. I use way less weight and do many more reps. As for deadlifts, I stopped pulling from the floor entirely. I found that Romanian deadlifts and good mornings work better for me, though I will probably revisit standard deadlifts at some point in the future. So to sum it all up, I would say definitely give the big 3 a try. They are excellent time-tested exercises which will give you results. Just make sure to perform them in a way which is maximally stimulating your muscles, rather than just stacking as much weight as you possibly can on the bar. If for whatever reason you find that these exercises aren't working well for you or don't feel good, you shouldn't be afraid to explore other variations of the same movement pattern. And finally, don't half-ass your isolation exercises. While heavy compounds will train a large part of your body, properly isolating your biceps, triceps, forearms, delts, abs, and calves are just as important if you want to develop a well-balanced and aesthetic physique. Alright guys, that's all for today. If you found it useful, please give me a thumbs up and make sure to check out the Natty Talk playlist for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching.